Hi.
So I was thinking about this crazy date I had on Saturday, and that made me remember this next story that made me realize that she might not be that crazy after all. So here's how to lose a guy in 10 days.
It's a terrible story, although, surprisingly, upbeat.
So we meet this guy, Benjamin Barry, who makes advertisements for things like sports and beer.
Saving the world one keg party at a time?
But he gets a tip that a diamond company wants a new ad firm and tells his boss. But his boss, Phillip, gives the job to the Judys, two women who get all the luxury clients. Well, he doesn't think it's fair, so he crashes their party that night and argues that he should get the account, even though they're more qualified.
These girls sell luxury better than anyone else in the business.
But while he's trying to prove that he's capable of schmoozing rich people, he drinks one of the most generic beers on the planet. It's kind of like ordering chicken strips at a 5-star restaurant.
And I'm not a big fan of meat jelly.
So he throws out his pitch, which is basically saying that diamonds, which are typically known for being rare, should be marketed as something you can just go to the store and buy whenever you want.
Take a look at this piece of crap.
And is immediately told why his idea is stupid.
They lose their status.
Cheap piece of shit.
But he still insists that he should get it, so the Judys give him a challenge. They're gonna pick a woman in the bar, and he has to make that woman fall in love with him in 10 days.
Why 10 days?
See, there's a party that night, and he's gotta bring her so Phillip can judge if she's in love with him or not.
He's just gonna make some random woman fall in love with him and then he's gonna dump her?
Yeah, pretty much.
He is as dishonorable as he is attractive.
Judy Green's picks worry him for a second, but you would think that he would see her picking someone he normally wouldn't go out with as a slam dunk.
Oh, this is going to be easy.
But Judy Spears picks
Her in the gray dress, blonde hair, pretty smile.
and he's like,
I did that.
So he hits on her and asks her if she wants to go to dinner, but he fails to tell her that she would be riding on the back of a motorcycle. And when they get to the restaurant, somehow her hair that was outside the helmet looks perfect.
What's your secret, sister?
Andie Anderson works as the how-to girl at a women's magazine, and he doesn't think it's weird that the Judys picked a chick that worked for the company that they had just been working with that morning.
Oh, what? That's serious.
Yeah.
He takes it like a champ when she makes fun of his job, but when he makes fun of hers, she gets really defensive.
I can write about anything I want.
Like shoes?
I have a master's in journalism from Columbia.
But I guess not enough for her to make a move on him when they get back to his place. He plays hard to get because he needs to treat her like he actually wants to see her again.
Diamond is no one-night stand. A diamond is a long-term commitment.
So she leaves, but forgets her purse. So I'm really not sure how she paid for a cab ride home.
I presume a crisp high five?
Oh, you're such a hussy.
The next day, Ben doesn't want to invade her privacy, so his friend Tony knocks over her purse so they can look at her crap ethically.
Do you have an ethical problem with rifling through a woman's purse?
And Thayer treats the contents of Andie's purse with more care than Benjamin Gates did with the Declaration of Independence.
I spilled ketchup on it.
But they find her Knicks tickets that she's gonna need tonight, so now he has an excuse to call her without looking desperate.
I got a really embarrassing display of white roses.
Subtle, isn't he?
But when he brings up the tickets, she lets him know that she's taking someone else. Then he pushes back, and she agrees to take him instead.
He just invited himself?
Yep.
But I am not putting out.
And that's how it's done.
Well, at the game, they're having a great time, and he can't believe how lucky he got with who the Judys picked, until there's 1 minute left in the game, and she wants a drink. He runs to go get her one, but when he comes back, she complains that it's a Coke and not a Diet Coke, which she didn't ask for.
Which Benjamin would know if he understood women, but you don't.
So he runs back to the concession stand and just misses the game-winning shot because he was too stupid to just stand on the stairs for a few more seconds.
You don't mess with my man.
The next night, they go to the movies, and right at the end, she starts to ask him questions like really loud. He tries to quietly answer, but the guy right behind him rightfully gets pissed off and insults her.
Want to shut up?
So now Ben has to defend her, but ends up getting punched in the face.
Sometimes I think you like getting punched.
The next night, he makes plans to cook her dinner while they're watching the next playoff game, so he's busy when she comes in. But when he gets done cooking, he sees that she started redecorating his apartment.
Perfectly.
Then she gives him a fern that's meant to represent their relationship, and he starts to realize the Judys may have just gotten him one ticket on the crazy train. But he figures he can handle her, until he brings out dinner, and she starts to cry because she's a vegetarian.
What's the matter, kid? You never had lamb chops?
I happen to be a vegetarian.
So they have to abandon the game and go to a vegan restaurant.
Why couldn't they just get pizza?
Because she doesn't want to be in the same room as a roasted lamb carcass. So the only choice is to go to a vegan restaurant where there's nothing Ben wants to eat.
Well, where did they eat before?
Oh, they had seafood. I guess dead shellfish doesn't offend her. And of course, they can't go there again. So naturally, the only option in New York City is vegan, where even there she has problems eating. And when the waitress asks what's wrong, she says that she can't eat in front of Ben.
My boyfriend thinks I'm fat.
And now everyone in the restaurant hates him.
Your magic's no good here.
When they get back to his place, she decides it's time to get frisky. But when she names his penis,
Does Princess Sophia come out and play?
he loses interest.
Why?
Well, she gave it a really girly name, and he wants something manlier. But even when they agree on one,
Does Carol, the warrior king, want to come out and play?
he can't bring himself to perform because the baby talk makes him think he's about to fuck a Care Bear.
You want to talk about shooting a man's horse? Wah!
He's seriously annoyed, but he needs to keep her on the hook for 6 more days. So he rushes to the elevator and asks her out for tomorrow night. Then the next day, she shows up to his office and has a surprise for him.
He's our boy band.
Then she insults his friends and is way too affectionate, but she does give him an idea for his campaign.
Frost yourself.
Well, his boss loves it and decides to make it the theme of the party. But when Ben brags about Andie being in love with him already, he's like, we'll see about that.
But if they're going to use his idea, wouldn't that mean he has it?
No, since he made the bet, if he loses, they're just going to take his great idea, but the Judys will get the commission.
Well, that's not fair.
Well, that's what happens when you gamble.
Whenever you gamble, my friend, eventually you lose.
So he gets home and has a ridiculous amount of messages from her.
It's me!
And he's still going through them when she gets there. She has another surprise for him. A photo album filled with pictures of their future children.
Our family album!
What's worse is she had to call his mom to get the pictures she used. And Andie and his mom are already saying I love you to each other.
Love you too. Bye.
Well, of course, because of this, he needs a break from her, so he tells her he has to work tonight. But he's secretly gonna go watch the game with his friends. Then she says that she has tickets for tonight, and all of a sudden he's available.
Convenient.
Unlucky for him, her tickets are for the Celine Dion concert, and not the Knicks game.
No way!
So he's so relieved that he's gonna have a break the next day, because that's his weekly poker game.
Woo! Boys' night.
Yeah.
Although you'd think with how important this account is to him, that he would want to spend all the time he can with her just to make sure that she's in love with him. But since she's already picturing their family and saying I love you to his mom, he's fairly confident.
Kidding me? She's planning the wedding.
But during the game, everyone's surprised when she walks in.
How does she have a key?
She convinced the super to give her one.
I'll trade you his key for that dress.
Then she immediately messes with her game, makes them put out their cigars, eat her shitty sandwiches, and even calls out everyone's cards. Then she sees that the fern that she gave him is dead, and she freaks the fuck out and leaves.
I'm drinking this love fern with me.
He chases her into the hallway asking why she's a completely different person than when they met, but she's just insulted that he thinks she's crazy. So he goes back in where Tony and Thayer convince him to go after her and apologize.
You know, I'm sorry. Look, what do you think about couples therapy?
She agrees to set up the appointment, which they go to the next day. He's accused of being a gay rageaholic who can't get it up, but also flirting with the therapist.
You're like a freaking one-woman circus, Andie.
Then she brings up him being upset about her talking to his mom, so he invites her to spend the weekend with his family.
That's something special, baby.
At his parents' house, they're playing a card game that Ben always wins, so his family cheats to make sure Andie kicks his ass. And when she does, the whole family loves her, and that's when she finds out that he's never introduced a girl to his family.
So the first girl that he's ever bringing home to meet his family is some crazy chick he's only dating for a bet.
Well, you're half right. See, while he might be dating her as a bet, she isn't really crazy. Judy Spears, who suggested the bet and picked Andie, pulled a sneaky. Earlier that day, they met with Lana, Andie's boss, and she told her what article Andie was working on.
How to lose a guy in 10 days.
I could start by dating a guy and then drive him away, but only using the classic mistakes most women, like Michele, make all the time.
And the only reason she was doing this article was to help her friend who just got dumped.
Who will use Michele's personal life for a story?
Oh.
So whenever Andie was doing something horrible, it was just for this article. Like she knowingly sent him out with a minute to go in the game, didn't actually want to diet, then she purposely made him miss the next 2 games, and the problem she had eating was her really running to the kitchen to eat real food and watching the game with the cooks.
It's too bad you missed it.
Then she filled his apartment with the pink shit to drive him crazy.
Oh, no, man, come on.
And she really doesn't even care about all the stuff she's been crying over.
You don't want to see our children?
So she's not crazy, she's evil.
No, she was trying to get him to break up with her. And each time he kept coming back for more, so she had to step it up. So he was driving her just as crazy as she was driving him. And since she doesn't know about the bet, she can't figure out why he's still dating her.
It's not gonna crack this guy. I mean, this is DEFCON 5.
But she doesn't have the heart to pull this crap with his family. and they spend the day together just being themselves. So of course, they bang.
He couldn't sleep with her because she named his penis, but his mommy in the next room is no problem.
Well, I like it.
And then he takes her home and asks her to go to the diamond party with him and also calls her his girlfriend. She agrees to go, but realizes this means that she's not going to be able to do the article.
Well, why is that a big deal?
Well, she wants to be a real journalist, but her boss won't let her write about the stuff she cares about until she can prove herself. And not getting an article that your boss was really excited about done is not a way to prove yourself.
What not to do.
So she goes to her boss and says that she can't do it, but her boss isn't having it. They've already sent the cover to the printer, so the title of her article can't be changed, so she's screwed.
She's gonna screw up her career just for him to dump her right after.
Not really. He actually bought tickets to a game later that week and already asked her to go with him, so he still wants to date her even after this party. He figures that she ranks pretty high on the crazy hot scale, and he likes at least one of her personalities, so it's a win.
Why would I need to hit on another woman? You've got more than enough personalities to keep me completely occupied.
Well, they get to this party where the women are allowed to borrow jewelry from the diamond people, and Andie looks so hot that the old diamond guy makes his minions go get a special diamond that matches her dress.
She cleans up nicely.
Lipstick on a pig.
Then we find out that Ben could have just cut out all the drama just by flirting with the old diamond lady, because apparently she's in charge.
You see, Mr. DeLauer controls 70% of the world's diamonds, and Mrs. DeLauer controls Mr.
But Ben's boss meets with Andie and realizes that she loves him, which the Judys see. So they tell Tony and Thayer that Andie cheated for Ben. And instead of running to Ben to see if it's true, they stupidly go to Andie and admit to the bet, trying to get her to lie for them.
They don't look so simple-minded.
But Ben is getting the news that Andie loves him and that he gets the job, which Lana overhears. Now, since he's going to be running the campaign that is a big portion of their ad revenue, she wants to get on his good side. And when she introduces herself and talks about the magazine, he doesn't mention that he's dating one of her employees. And even though she clearly heard him talking about someone being in love with him, when he gestures towards Andie, she saw, oh, she works for me and is currently working on an article where she's pretending to date somebody. She then realizes her mistake and doesn't bother to tell him that she came to her and asked not to have to do the article, and that she really likes him. And after finding out that she was just a bet and thinking Ben doesn't really like her, Andie starts downing champagne. She gets the idea to humiliate Ben by having him sing for the Diamond Lady, but he decides to mess with her back by calling it a duet. So he has the band play You're So Vain.
Isn't the song supposed to be for the Diamond Lady?
Yeah, it's not really a good look. Or a duet.
Tone deaf and drunk is not a good combination.
But they start airing out their dirty laundry and she storms out, forgetting that she's wearing the Uber diamond, and security, who's there specifically to make sure no one leaves with the diamonds, don't notice until Diamond Dude starts yelling.
Wouldn't they have someone collecting them at the door?
You would think, especially since they have a record of who's wearing what. But Ben runs after her, and they have a which one was worse fight, which is really no contest. It's him.
It's her. What? She's done so many mean things to him.
Yeah, but if he wasn't trying to win a bet, he would have just dumped her. The basic idea of who's worse should come down to how this would affect a normal person being the subject of the bet. While a dude she dated would be like,
Okay, wow, dodged a big time bullet on that one.
The chick he dated would be like,
It was the best week of my life.
So his is definitely worse.
Drama, drama, drama.
So they go on with their lives, and Lana loves Andie's article, but when she mentions what else Andie will be allowed to write,
laser therapy, dressing for your body type, shoes,
she quits. Because the only reason that she was willing to write about crap she didn't care about was to get the opportunity to write about what matters to her.
Like politics and the environment and foreign affairs.
Not our brand.
So when she realizes that's never gonna happen, there's no reason to stay. Then Tony gives Ben her article, and when he realizes that she really did love him, he goes after her. He gets to her office and finds the Fern, that her shrink was just her friend, and that she's moving. Then he gets to her apartment just in time to see her get into a cab. But when the light turns, he can't find it, even though he could have just looked at the number that's lit up on top of it. But eventually he catches up to her on a bridge and proceeds to bang on the cab like a lunatic. But the cabbie doesn't even notice the loud-ass motorcycle dangerously close to him, with a madman beating on the cab, even with the window down.
Dopinder? What was that?
And then he won't pull over, not because he's afraid of the maniac on the road, but because it's a bridge. But when she says she's gonna vomit, which he should immediately realize is a lie, he does.
You could barf all over him and he would say, do it again.
Ben tells the cab driver to take her crap back to the apartment because she's going back on his bike. And I'm guessing that they threw the love fern off the bridge because I don't think she could carry it on the motorcycle.
You let it die!
So they make up, and once again, two horrible people take themselves out of the dating pool.
Good for you!
Denying your subconscious desires is extremely dangerous to your health.
Does that psychobabble really work on anybody?
Nobody screw with me.
But you weren't invited.
Yeah, but I should have been.
Ben Barry, you're so big. Probably think this song is about you. Bye.
All
Say
right.
bye, Chloe.
Little soap and
He
water.
goes
Take
woof
care.
woof.
Yeah, thank you, buds.